Undercover boss saw Barista making lattes at 6 a.m., then exposed staff selling fake discounts. The alarm screamed at 4:47 a.m., but Maya Chin was already awake. She always was. Her body had learned years ago that poverty doesn't respect sleep schedules. 3 buses and 42 minutes stood between her studio apartment and Crescent Coffee, and the first one left at 5:15 sharp. Miss it, and she'd be late. Late meant written up. 3 write-ups meant unemployed. She couldn't afford unemployed. By 5:53 a.m., Maya was unlocking the cafe's back door, her breath forming small clouds in the October cold. The streets were still dark, lit only by flickering street lamps and the occasional passing car. Inside, she flipped switches in a practice sequence: lights, espresso machine, grinder, ovens. The cafe hummed to life around her like a sleeping giant waking up. Most people didn't know coffee shops opened in darkness. But Maya knew the construction workers needed their coffee by 6:15. The nurses ending night shifts needed theirs by 6:30. The single moms dropping kids at early daycare needed theirs by 6:45. She needed this job every single day. The espresso machine gurgled and hissed as it warmed up. Maya wiped down counters that were already clean, arranged pastries in the display case with geometric precision, and checked the register. Everything had to be perfect. Everything always had to be perfect. At exactly 6 a.m., she unlocked the front door. Her first customer appeared within 90 seconds. Coffee. Black. Large. Maya looked up to find a man in his late 40s standing at the counter. He wore a faded gray hoodie, worn jeans, and scuffed work boots. His face was tired in that deep-down way that spoke of years, not just hours. A small scar cut through his left eyebrow. He could have been anyone: a contractor, a delivery driver, someone heading to an early shift at a warehouse. "Good morning," Maya said, her smile genuine despite the hour. "Just the black coffee?" "That's it." She rang it up. $3.49, please. He handed her a $5 bill, and when she gave him the change, he pushed $1 back across the counter. "Keep it." "Thank you so much." Maya dropped it in the tip jar, making sure he saw her do it. Some customers got weird if you pocketed tips directly, like you were stealing from the register. The man took his coffee to a corner table, not the one by the window where most solo customers sat, but the one with a clear view of the counter, the register, and the front door. Maya thought it was odd for half a second, then forgot about it. The morning rush was starting. By 6:20, she had a line of 8 people. Maya moved with efficient grace, taking orders, making drinks, operating the register in a smooth rhythm. She knew most of them by name now. Marcus, who ordered a triple espresso and never spoke before drinking half of it. Jennifer, who got an oat milk latte and always asked about Maya's day. Old Mr. Patterson, who claimed the croissants here were almost as good as Paris, despite never having been to Paris. "That'll be $6.75, Maya told a woman in scrubs. The woman handed her a 20. "Actually, keep 8. The rest is yours." "Oh, I can't accept." "Please. You're always so kind." The woman smiled tiredly. "Night shift at County Hospital. You make the morning bearable." Maya felt warmth in her chest despite the exhaustion in her bones. "Thank you. That really means a lot." She rang up the correct amount, $6.75, and put the extra cash in the tip jar where everyone could see it. Transparency mattered. Her grandmother had taught her that. "People remember honest hands," she used to say. The man in the corner was still there, Maya noticed. His coffee had to be cold by now, but he hadn't moved. He seemed to be reading something on his phone, but every so often, his eyes would flick up to watch the counter. At 6:47, something unusual happened. A regular customer, Tom, stepped up to the counter with his usual order already in mind. But before Maya could greet him, he leaned forward slightly and lowered his voice. "Hey, that discount thing still working?" Maya blinked. "I'm sorry, what discount?" Tom looked confused. "The one Jenna told me about?" Like if I give you cash directly, you can knock a few bucks off? A cold feeling crept up Maya's spine. We don't have any cash discounts. All our promotions go through the register. Oh, Tom straightened, looking embarrassed. My bad. Must have misunderstood. Just the regular medium latte then. Of course. $4.25. He paid with his card, and Maya made his drink, but her mind was racing. Jenna worked the afternoon shift. What had she told Tom? And why would she mention a discount that didn't exist? The morning continued. More customers, more lattes, more careful register transactions. Maya's hands never stopped moving, but part of her brain was stuck on that strange interaction. At 7:30, her shift supervisor, Derek, arrived. He was a college kid who treated this job like a minor inconvenience between parties, but he was supposed to be management. Morning, Maya. How's it looking? Good morning. Registers at 432 and sales so far. Tips are at 18. Everything's stocked and ready for the rush. Derek barely glanced at the numbers. Cool. Hey, you can take off. Jenna's coming in early. Maya nodded, untied her apron, and grabbed her jacket from the back room. When she emerged, she saw Jenna arriving through the front door, a young woman with carefully maintained highlights and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. The man in the corner finally stood up. He threw his long cold coffee in the trash and walked out without a word, his hoodie pulled up against the morning chill. Maya didn't know it yet, but that quiet man had just watched her refuse 4 separate opportunities to pocket cash. He'd seen her ring up every single transaction correctly. He'd watched her turn down tips that were clearly meant as bribes for discounts. And he'd heard Tom ask about a discount that didn't exist. Because that man wasn't a construction worker or a delivery driver. He was Daniel Reeves, founder and CEO of Crescent Coffee, a chain that had grown from one small shop to 73 locations across the country. And he'd come to this cafe because someone was stealing from him, thousands of dollars a month disappearing into thin air. He'd suspected everyone. But after one morning, he'd found the only employee he could trust. Now he just had to figure out who was destroying his business, and why they were doing it in the shadows of an honest woman's reputation. Daniel Reeves sat in his car across the street from Crescent Coffee, watching through the windshield as the lunch crowd began to form. He'd spent the morning at a hotel room reviewing financial reports, and the numbers made his jaw tighten. This location, one of his oldest, the third shop he'd ever opened, was hemorrhaging money. Not through poor sales. The customer count was strong, steady. But the cash deposits didn't match the register totals. Over the past 3 months, nearly $11,000 had simply vanished. His CFO thought it was accounting errors. His regional manager suspected vendor fraud. But Daniel had built this company from nothing. He knew theft when he saw it. At 2:17 p.m., he walked back into the cafe. The atmosphere was different from the quiet morning efficiency. Music played louder. 3 employees worked behind the counter instead of just Maya. The one named Jenna was laughing with a customer, her hand gestures animated and theatrical. Derek, the supervisor, was nowhere to be seen. Daniel ordered another black coffee from a young man with a carefully groomed beard whose name tag read, Tyler. $3.49, Tyler said, barely making eye contact. Daniel paid with a 10 and watched carefully as Tyler made change. Everything seemed normal. The transaction went through the register. The receipt printed correctly. He took his coffee to a different table this time, one closer to the counter but partially hidden behind a support column. From here, he could hear conversations without being obvious. The lunch rush intensified. Customers in business casual ordered complicated drinks. Teenagers clustered in groups, ordering frappuccinos with extra everything. A steady stream of people, a steady stream of transactions. And then Daniel heard it. A man in a suit stepped up to the counter. Jenna greeted him with that practiced smile. Hey! Back again? Yeah, that drink yesterday was perfect. The man pulled out his wallet. Same thing? Jenna leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping just enough. Since you're a regular now, we can do the weekday special. 12 instead of 16, but just. She tapped the counter. Cash works better for that price. The man's face brightened. Oh, seriously? That's awesome. He handed her $15. Keep the change. Daniel watched with laser focus as Jenna's hands moved. She rang up the full $16 drink on the register, hit the card payment button, then immediately canceled it. The register showed the transaction as voided. Then she made the drink, pocketed the cash, and handed over the cup. No receipt. No record. $4 straight into her pocket, plus the $3 tip. The man walked away happy, thinking he'd gotten a deal. Daniel's coffee had gone cold again, but he didn't move. Over the next 40 minutes, he witnessed it 3 more times. Not every customer, that would be too obvious. But enough. A woman with a yoga mat. 2 college students. An older man who looked like he just finished a business lunch. Always cash. Always a whisper about specials, or regular discounts, or weekday deals, always the full price rung up, then voided. Always the money disappearing. Tyler was in on it too. Daniel watched him do the same routine twice, though with less finesse than Jenna. The system was elegant in its simplicity. To any customer watching, it looked like a normal transaction. The register opened, buttons were pressed, the drink was made. But in the chaos of a busy afternoon, who would notice a transaction being voided? Who would track whether cash actually went into the drawer? Daniel's phone buzzed. A text from his CFO got the audit results. Maya Chen's morning shift shows 0 discrepancies over 6 months. Problem starts at 11 a.m. daily. He typed back, I know. I'm watching it happen. At 3:30, something else caught his attention. A middle-aged woman approached the counter and asked Jenna, Is Maya working today? She was here this morning, but she's off now. Can I help you? Oh, I just wanted to thank her. She told me about that cash discount last week and it saved me a bundle. I've been coming every day since. Daniel's blood went cold. Jenna's smile didn't flicker. Maya's so sweet, isn't she? Yeah, that discount is great. Want your usual? The woman paid cash. Jenna pocketed it. They were using Maya's name. Maya, who had refused every questionable offer that morning. Maya, who rang up every transaction precisely. They were running their scam and attaching it to the one honest employee in the building. If Daniel had checked the records without coming here himself, Maya would have looked guilty. Morning shift or not, customers were associating her with the fraud. His phone buzzed again. Regional manager, should we bring Maya Chen in for questioning tomorrow? Daniel stared at the message, then at Jenna laughing behind the counter. He typed back, No. Don't touch her. I need 3 more days. He stood up, threw away his second cold coffee of the day, and walked out. They'd built a perfect scam, and they'd chosen a perfect scapegoat. But they'd made one critical mistake. They'd done it in a cafe owned by the one person who knew exactly what honest work looked like, because he'd done it himself 20 years ago, in this exact building, before it became a chain. This was personal now. Wednesday, 5:58 a.m. Daniel stood outside Crescent Coffee in the pre-dawn darkness, his breath fogging in the cold air. Through the window, he could see Maya moving through her opening routine with the same precision he'd witnessed 2 days ago. Lights in sequence. Machines warming. Pastries arranged. At exactly 6 a.m., she unlocked the door. He was her first customer again. Good morning, Maya said, and Daniel saw something he hadn't noticed before. She looked tired, not just morning tired, but tired in the bones. The kind of exhaustion that comes from working too hard for too little. He recognized it. He'd worn that same exhaustion for years. Black coffee. Large, he said. $3.49. The transaction was perfect. Again. Daniel took his coffee to the corner and opened his laptop. To anyone watching, he looked like a remote worker starting early. But his screen showed the live financial dashboard for this location, and he was watching something specific, the revenue tracker that updated in real time. From 6 to 10:30 a.m., every transaction matched. Every drink sold showed up in the system. The register counted up in perfect correlation with the orders being made. At 10:47 a.m., Maya's shift ended. She said goodbye to Derek, who'd arrived 20 minutes late, and walked out the front door. At 11:03 a.m., the first discrepancy appeared. A transaction voided. $16 evaporated. At 11:24 a.m., another one. $12 gone. Daniel closed his laptop and left before Jenna's shift started. He didn't need to see the crime again. He needed to understand the pattern. Thursday, 6:01 a.m. Maya was there when he arrived, but this time she looked distressed. She was on her phone near the espresso machine, and he could hear fragments of the conversation. "I understand, but the payment was submitted on time. I can show you the confirmation number." Her voice was strained. "Please, I can't afford a late fee on top of." "Yes, I'll hold." She noticed Daniel and quickly wrapped up the call, her professional smile snapping back into place even though her eyes looked slightly red. "Good morning. Sorry about that. What can I get you?" "Black coffee." "Large," he paused. "Everything okay?" Maya's smile faltered for just a second. "Yes, thank you. Just some billing confusion." $3.49, please." He paid, and as she made his coffee, he heard her whisper to herself. "It'll be fine. It'll be fine." Daniel took his coffee to the corner table and sent a secure message to his CFO, pull Maya Chen's employment file. "What's her salary?" The response came in 3 minutes, $1,550 per hour. 32 hours weekly. No benefits, classified part-time. Been here 14 months. Daniel did the math. After taxes, she was taking home maybe $1,700 a month. In this city, that was poverty wages. He'd started this business promising fair pay, but somewhere in the expansion, someone had decided to save money by keeping people just under full-time hours. He added another note to his growing file: review compensation structure, all locations. At headquarters, his inbox was filling with urgent messages. Board meeting tomorrow. Investor calls. Expansion plans. He ignored all of it. Friday, 5:55 a.m. Daniel arrived even earlier and watched from his car as Maya approached the cafe. She walked with her head down, her jacket pulled tight against the cold. When she reached the door, she stopped and took a long, deep breath before unlocking it. Like she was gathering strength for the day. When he entered at 6:02, she had everything ready, and his coffee was already being made. "Figured you'd be here," she said with a tired smile. "You've got a routine now, too." "Guilty," Daniel said. "How'd you know I'd come back?" "Construction schedule, right? Same time, same order, means you're on a job with early starts." She handed him the coffee. $3.49. He realized she'd built a story about him in her head, trying to make sense of a regular customer. It was what good service workers did, remembered people, made them feel seen. As he paid, a thought struck him. "Do you ever get customers asking for unusual deals? Discounts that seem too good?" Maya's expression shifted, just slightly, but he caught it. Wariness. Concern. "Why do you ask?" "Just heard someone mention it. Wondered if it was real." She was quiet for a moment, weighing her words carefully. "If anyone offers you a discount that doesn't show up on your receipt, it's not real. And it's not from me." The way she said "not from me" was pointed. Deliberate. She knew something was wrong. "Good to know," Daniel said carefully. "Thanks for the honesty." "Always," Maya replied, and he believed her. Back in his hotel room, Daniel compiled his evidence. 3 mornings of perfect transactions during Maya's shifts. 3 afternoons of systematic theft after she left. Customer testimonies, recorded via a private investigator he'd hired, that mentioned Maya's name in connection with fake discounts she never offered. The scam had a timeline. It had a method. And it had a scapegoat who was too honest to even defend herself properly because she didn't know she needed to. His phone buzzed. Regional manager, corporate wants answers. Should we close this location temporarily? Daniel typed, no. I need 4 more days. Tell corporate I'm handling it personally. He stared at the ceiling of his hotel room. Maya Chun was 1 paycheck away from disaster, working dawn shifts for poverty wages, and someone was framing her for theft. 4 more days. Then he'd burn it all down. Monday morning brought rain. Daniel watched from his car as Maya arrived at 5:52 a.m., her jacket soaked despite the umbrella she carried. She fumbled with the keys, and for a moment he thought she might cry from sheer frustration. But she didn't. She just unlocked the door and disappeared inside. By the time he entered at 6:05, she transformed the cafe into a warm refuge from the storm. The espresso machine hummed, soft jazz played from the speakers, and the smell of fresh coffee filled the air. Rough morning, Daniel commented as he approached the counter. The 3rd bus didn't show up. Had to wait 20 minutes in the rain. Maya's smile was genuine despite her damp hair. But we made it, right? Black coffee large? You remember? I remember everyone who comes in before sunrise. There aren't many of us morning people. She rang him up. 3:49. As Daniel paid, the door opened and a woman in a business suit hurried in, shaking water from her umbrella. Oh, thank God you're open. I need 2 large lattes and... The woman spotted Maya and her face lit up. Maya. Perfect. Can you do that special thing again? Daniel's attention sharpened. Maya's smile faltered. What special thing? You know, the discount? My colleague told me about it. Said you take care of regulars? The woman pulled out cash. She said to just give you cash and you'll knock a few dollars off? Maya's face went pale. I don't offer any discounts. All our promotions run through the register. The woman looked confused. But Sarah said she comes here every week and you always. I'm sorry, but whoever told you that was mistaken. Maya's voice was steady, but Daniel could see her hands trembling slightly. I can make you 2 excellent lattes at regular price, or if you have our app, there's a digital punch card. Forget it. The woman's tone turned cold. Sarah said you were helpful? Guess she was wrong. She left without ordering. The cafe fell silent except for the rain hammering against the windows. Maya stood frozen behind the counter, staring at nothing. Hey, Daniel said softly. You okay? Maya blinked, then nodded quickly. Yes. Sorry. That was just... strange. Someone's spreading rumors about you. I don't understand why. Her voice cracked slightly. I would never steal from the register. I need this job. I can't afford to. She stopped herself, professional mask sliding back into place. I'm sorry. That was inappropriate. Let me get your coffee. Daniel watched her make his drink with shaking hands. Someone had spent weeks building a narrative, dropping Maya's name in casual conversation, making it seem like she was the source of these illegal discounts. Every customer who'd gotten a deal from Jenna or Tyler had been told it came from Maya. It was brilliant and cruel in equal measure. At 2 p.m., Daniel returned in disguise, a baseball cap pulled low, glasses he didn't need, a university hoodie. He ordered from Tyler. Hey man, someone told me Maya does discounts for regulars? Daniel said casually. Tyler's expression didn't change. Oh yeah, Maya's great about that. She takes care of people, you know? But she's only here mornings. I can help you out though. Same deal. Yeah? That'd be awesome. Large latte, right? Usually $7.50, but for cash I can do 5-inch. Daniel handed over a $10 bill and watched Tyler perform the same routine. Ring it up full price, void it immediately, pocket the cash, make the drink. Maya taught you this system? Daniel asked. Nah, but she's been doing it forever. We just followed her lead. Tyler handed over the coffee with a conspiratorial smile. Come back tomorrow, ask for me or Jenna. We'll take care of you. Daniel left the cafe fighting the urge to fire everyone on the spot. They hadn't just built a scam. They'd built a mythology. Maya was the generous morning angel who started the tradition of cash discounts. Tyler and Jenna were just continuing her legacy. Any customer who asked would hear the same story. If an audit happened, a dozen customers would testify that Maya had offered them deals. The fact that she actually hadn't wouldn't matter. Perception was reality. That evening, Daniel sat in his hotel room reviewing security footage his ID team had pulled from the cafe's cameras. The videos confirmed everything, but they also revealed something else. Last Tuesday, Derek had called Maya into the back office. The audio was muffled, but Daniel could read body language. Derek was aggressive, leaning forward. Maya was defensive, her hands raised in a placating gesture. He enhanced the audio. Explain why customers keep mentioning your name? I don't know. I've never offered discounts. The money's missing during your shifts too, Maya. That's not possible. I'm always careful. Corporate's asking questions. If this continues, you're the one who's going to take the fall. Daniel paused the video. Derek knew. He was either part of the scam or covering for someone, and he was actively threatening Maya to keep her scared and silent. The frame job wasn't just happening. It was being managed. Daniel opened his laptop and typed an email to his legal team. Prepare termination documents for multiple employees. Cause theft and fraud. I'll have final evidence by Friday. Then he opened another window and drafted a very different email to HR. Prepare promotion paperwork. Name Maya Chin. New position, store manager. Salary, $62,000 plus benefits. Effective immediately upon approval. She didn't know it yet, but Maya wasn't going to be the scapegoat. She was going to be the survivor. Tuesday, 8:47 a.m. Maya was wiping down the espresso machine when Derek emerged from the back office with a man she'd never seen before. He wore a gray suit and carried a leather portfolio. His expression was neutral, professional, cold. Maya, this is Richard Foster from Corporate Audit, Derek said. His tone was apologetic, but his eyes held something else. Satisfaction, maybe? He needs to ask you a few questions. Maya's stomach dropped. About what? Just routine, Richard said, but nothing about this felt routine. Can we speak in the office? Daniel was at his corner table, hidden behind his laptop screen. The moment he'd seen the auditor arrive, he'd activated the recording app on his phone. Whatever happened in that office, he'd hear it. Inside the cramped back office, Richard opened his portfolio and pulled out a spreadsheet. Maya, how long have you worked here? 14 months. And you typically work the opening shift, 6 to 10:30 a.m.? Yes. Richard's pen scratched against paper. Are you aware that this location has reported significant cash discrepancies over the past 3 months? Maya's hands twisted together in her lap. No. I didn't know that. The discrepancies totaled just over $11,000. Richard looked up. Several customers have mentioned your name specifically in connection with unauthorized discounts. The color drained from Maya's face. That's not true. I've never. I'm not accusing you, Maya. I'm just gathering information. His voice was measured, practiced. Can you explain why customers would associate these discounts with you? I can't. I don't offer discounts. I ring up everything exactly as it's priced. Derek leaned against the wall, arms crossed. But you do handle cash transactions during the morning rush, right? Of course, but I always. And the register is sometimes short at the end of your shifts. Derek continued. We've documented it. Small amounts. $5, $10, $20. Maya's voice rose. That's impossible. I count the drawer before I leave. Every single day. Do you? Richard made another note. We don't have records of you signing off on those counts. Because Derek is supposed to verify it. I tell him the amount and he... She stopped, realization dawning across her face. He doesn't write it down, does he? Derek shifted uncomfortably. I verify it mentally. I don't always have time to. This is insane. Maya stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. I have never stolen anything. Check the cameras. Check my registered transactions. I do everything by the book. Richard closed his portfolio. We'll review all the evidence. In the meantime, we need you to sign this statement acknowledging that you've been informed of the investigation. He slid a paper across the desk. Maya read it, her hands shaking. The document was carefully worded. It didn't accuse her of theft, but it acknowledged that she was aware of concerns regarding cash handling procedures during her shifts. Signing it would make her look complicit, like she knew something was wrong. I'm not signing this. It's just a formality, Richard said. It's not. It makes me look guilty. Maya's voice cracked. I work harder than anyone here. I show up early. I've never called in sick. I've never taken anything that wasn't mine. And now you're trying to make me sign something that says I knew money was missing? Derek stepped forward. Maya, if you refuse to cooperate with the investigation, I am cooperating. I'm telling you the truth. I'm just not signing a lie. Silence filled the office. Richard packed up his portfolio. We'll continue this conversation later. You can return to work for now, but consider yourself on notice. If any further discrepancies occur during your shifts, we'll have no choice but to suspend you pending a full investigation. Maya walked out of the office looking like she'd been punched. Her eyes were red, her movements mechanical. She returned to the counter and continued working, but Daniel could see her fighting back tears. At 9:15, an older woman ordered a cappuccino. That'll be $5.25, Maya said quietly. The woman handed her cash and smiled. You know, my daughter told me to ask for Maya's special discount. She said you're so kind to regulars. Maya's face crumpled. I don't. There's no special discount. I'm sorry. Oh, the woman looked confused. But my daughter comes here twice a week and she said. She's lying. Maya's voice broke. Or someone lied to her. But it wasn't me. It was never me. The woman backed away, startled by the outburst. Other customers turned to stare. Maya covered her mouth, horrified at herself. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. She ran to the bathroom. Derek watched her go with a thin smile, then pulled out his phone and typed something. Daniel stood up, his coffee forgotten. He'd seen enough. He walked to the counter where Derek stood. Who's she texting? Daniel asked casually, nodding toward where Jenna had just arrived for her shift. What? Jenna. She just smiled at her phone like she got good news. Daniel kept his voice light, conversational. Looks happy. Derek's face went carefully blank. I wouldn't know. But Daniel had seen it. The quick glance between Derek and Jenna. The satisfied smirk they both wore. They just pushed Maya to the breaking point in front of customers. Now they were documenting her emotional instability. The frame job was entering its final phase. But so was Daniel's plan. He walked out of the cafe, pulled out his phone, and made a call. Legal? It's Daniel. Accelerate everything. We move on Thursday. 2 days. Maya just had to survive 2 more days. Wednesday, 7 a.m. Daniel didn't go to the cafe. Instead, he sat in a conference room at a discreet accounting firm downtown, surrounded by 3 forensic auditors and his CFO, Patricia Vega. Walk me through it again, Daniel said. The lead auditor, a sharp-eyed woman named Susan Chin, pulled up a spreadsheet on the large monitor. The theft is sophisticated but not invisible. They're exploiting the gap between digital and physical cash handling. She highlighted a column. Every voided transaction shows up in the system, but it's buried in the daily report under operational adjustments. Most managers glance at the total sales number and move on. They don't drill into the subcategories. How many voids are normal? Patricia asked. 3 to 5 per day. Legitimate mistakes, wrong orders, customer complaints. Susan opened another file. This location averages 23 voids per day. But here's the pattern: 0 voids between 6 o'clock and 10:30 a.m. 23 voids between 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. Daniel leaned forward. Maya's shifts versus everyone else's. Exactly. And watch this. Susan filtered the data by employee login. When we track which employee ID processes the voids, 3 names appear repeatedly: Jenna Hartwell, Tyler Morrison, and Derek Shin. Derek's the supervisor, Daniel said. Same last name as the auditor? Susan nodded. Richard Foster reported back to Derek before filing anything with corporate. We checked the communication logs. Derek's been managing the investigation to ensure it pointed at Maya. Patricia's expression darkened. He's related to Susan? No relation to me. Susan clarified quickly. Common last name. But yes, Derek Shin is the on-site supervisor, and he's been actively burying evidence that would exonerate Maya while highlighting anything that makes her look suspicious. Another auditor, Marcus, opened a folder. We pulled 3 months of security footage. Watch transaction 2847 from last Thursday. The videos showed Jenna at the register. A customer handed her cash. She rang up the full amount, opened the drawer, placed the money inside, then closed it. Normal procedure. Now watch her left hand, Marcus said. He zoomed in and slowed the playback. While Jenna's right hand closed the cash drawer, her left hand casually swept the bills from the counter into her apron pocket in one smooth motion. The customer never noticed. The camera barely caught it. She puts cash in the drawer for the camera, pockets the real payment, then voids the transaction after the customer leaves. Marcus explained. Tyler does the same thing. Derek covers for them by verifying the drawer counts without documentation. Daniel's jaw tightened. How much has each of them stolen? Susan pulled up another spreadsheet. Based on transaction patterns and void frequency, Jenna Hartwell, approximately $4,200. Tyler Morrison, $3,800. Derek Shin is harder to quantify. He doesn't process transactions himself, but he's taking a cut. We estimate $3,000. 11,000 total, Patricia said quietly. They're splitting it 3 ways. And framing Maya for all of it, Daniel added. Marcus opened another video file. This is from yesterday. The audit meeting. Daniel watched the footage of Maya in the office with Richard Foster. He saw her hands shaking. Saw her refuse to sign the statement. Saw her walk out looking destroyed. Then the camera angle switched to the main floor. Derek pulled out his phone and sent a text. Within 30 seconds, Jenna entered the cafe, 15 minutes before her scheduled shift. We subpoenaed their phone records with your legal team, Marcus said. Derek texted Jenna, she's breaking. Push harder today. The videos showed Jenna coaching an older woman at the counter, pointing toward Maya. The woman approached, asked about a discount, and Maya had her breakdown. Daniel watched his employee, his honest, hard-working, exhausted employee, crack under pressure that never should have existed. They've been planning this for weeks, Susan said. We found group texts between the 3 of them from 6 weeks ago. Jenna suggested using Maya as cover because she's too perfect and nobody would believe her anyway. Patricia looked at Daniel. What do you want to do? Daniel was quiet for a long moment. What's Maya's financial situation? Susan hesitated. Why do you? Just tell me. Overdrawn checking account. 3 months behind on student loans. Medical bills and collections. She's barely surviving. Daniel stood and walked to the window. 73 locations. Thousands of employees. He'd built this company promising fair wages and honest work, and somewhere along the way he'd lost control of it. People like Derek had slipped through. People like Maya were being crushed. Susan, I need documentation of every transaction, every void, every text message. Full report by tomorrow morning. You'll have it. Patricia, pull Derek's hiring file. I want to know who approved him from management. On it. And pull Maya's file too. Every performance review, every complaint, every commendation. Why? Daniel turned from the window. Because when this is over, I want to know exactly how far we failed her. And then I want to make sure it never happens again. He checked his watch. 10:42 a.m. Maya's shift had just ended. She was probably on those 3 buses heading home, believing her job was about to disappear, believing she'd somehow failed. "We're done with surveillance," Daniel said. "Tomorrow morning I'm ending this." Thursday, 8:47 p.m. Maya stood in the empty cafe, confused and anxious. The text from Derek had come at 8:15, mandatory staff meeting tonight. 9 p.m. Everyone required. Don't be late. She'd just gotten home after her morning shift, exhausted and emotionally drained. 3 buses back across town for a meeting that couldn't wait until tomorrow. Jenna arrived next, looking annoyed. "This better be quick. I have plans." Tyler wandered in at 8:55, headphones still in his ears. Derek emerged from the back office checking his phone. "Corporate's sending someone. Should be here any." The front door opened. A man walked in, but it wasn't the corporate representative they expected. It was the quiet customer in the hoodie. The one who'd been coming every morning at 6 a.m. for black coffee. Except tonight he wore a tailored suit, and his presence filled the room differently. "Good evening," he said. "My name is Daniel Reeves. I own this company." The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Maya's eyes went wide. Jenna's face lost all color. Tyler pulled out his headphones. Derek stood frozen, his phone still in his hand. "Please sit down," Daniel said, gesturing to the tables. It wasn't a request. They sat. Maya's hands were shaking. Daniel remained standing. Behind him, the door opened again and Patricia Vega entered with 2 other people, a lawyer and the lead auditor, Susan Chin. They took positions near the door. "I've spent the past week investigating systematic theft at this location," Daniel began. His voice was calm, almost conversational. $11,000 stolen over 3 months. 23 fraudulent void transactions per day. Dozens of customers deceived. He pulled out a tablet and connected it to the cafe's TV screen. Security footage appeared. "This is Jenna Hartwell, last Thursday at 2:34 p.m. The video played in slow motion. The customer handing over cash. Jenna's sleight of hand. Money into the apron pocket while different bills went into the drawer. Jenna's mouth opened but no sound came out. "Tyler Morrison, same day, 4:17 p.m. Another video. Same scam, slightly clumsier execution. Tyler slumped in his chair. "And Derek Chin," Daniel continued, "who processed exactly 0 transactions himself but sent this text to Jenna on Monday." The message appeared on screen. "She's breaking. Push harder today." Derek's face went gray. "You built a system," Daniel said. "Void legitimate transactions, pocket cash, split the money 3 ways. It was working beautifully. But you had a problem." He advanced the slides. "If anyone investigated, you'd be caught immediately. So you needed insurance. You needed someone else to take the fall." The screen showed screenshots of text messages between the 3 conspirators. "Jenna, we need cover. Someone clean. Derek, what about Maya? Perfect attendance, never complains. Tyler, nobody would suspect her. Jenna, exactly. Too perfect. We make her the story." Maya gasped. You used my name? They told every customer the discounts came from you," Daniel said gently. "They coached people to ask for you specifically. When audit started, every witness statement mentioned your name." He showed more evidence, customer testimonies, transaction records, the moment Derek had threatened Maya in the office. "You manufactured an investigation designed to end with Maya's termination and criminal prosecution," Daniel continued. "She would be arrested for your crimes, and you'd continue stealing." The room was silent except for Maya's quiet crying. Daniel's expression hardened. "Derek Chin, Jenna Hartwell, Tyler Morrison, you're terminated effective immediately. Security will escort you out. You have 5 minutes to collect personal belongings. Everything else stays." "You can't prove," Derek started. "I have video evidence, transaction records, phone logs, and witness testimony," Daniel interrupted. "My legal team filed a police report this afternoon. Officers are waiting outside to take your statements. You'll also be hearing from our lawyers regarding civil litigation for the full amount stolen, plus damages. Patricia opened the door. 2 security guards and 2 police officers entered. Derek's face twisted with anger. This is entrapment. You can't. I can. I did. You're done. Daniel's voice was ice. Get out of my cafe. The 3 were escorted out. Jenna was crying. Tyler looked numb. Derek was shouting threats that everyone ignored. Then they were gone. The cafe fell silent. Maya sat at the table, tears streaming down her face, her whole body shaking. I didn't. I never. Daniel pulled out a chair and sat across from her. Maya, I know. I watched you work for a week. I saw you refuse tips meant as bribes. I saw you ring up every transaction perfectly. I saw you refuse to sign that false statement even when threatened. I thought I was going to lose my job. You were never going to lose your job. He slid a folder across the table. You're being promoted. Store manager? $62,000 a year, full benefits, starting Monday. Maya stared at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. What? This cafe needs honest leadership. You've proven you can't be corrupted. Daniel stood. Take the weekend. Process this. We'll talk Monday about your vision for this place. He walked to the door, then paused. Maya? I started this company 20 years ago in a cafe just like this one. I was making minimum wage and trying to survive. I built Crescent Coffee on a promise that honest work deserves honest pay. His voice softened. I'm sorry we failed you. I'm going to fix that. He left her sitting alone in the cafe, staring at a promotion letter and crying for entirely different reasons. Now Monday, 5:47 a.m. Maya stood outside Crescent Coffee with the new keys in her hand. Manager keys. Her keys now. The past 4 days had been a blur. The police interviews. The lawyer meetings. The HR orientation. The direct deposit setup that would bring her first real paycheck, more money than she'd ever earned in her life. She'd cried so much over the weekend that she'd run out of tears. Now, standing in the pre-dawn darkness, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. She unlocked the door and stepped inside. The cafe was different now, not physically, but in essence. Derek's office was being converted to a break room. The schedule board showed new names, people Daniel's team had carefully vetted. And on the wall behind the counter hung a new sign in simple letters. Honesty is our foundation. Integrity is our standard. Maya started her opening routine, but it felt different. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was building something. At exactly 6 a.m., she unlocked the front door. A familiar figure stood waiting. Daniel Reeves, no hoodie this time, just a simple jacket and that same tired but kind expression. Good morning, Maya said, and her smile was genuine in a way it hadn't been in months. Black coffee, large? You know, I think today I'll try something different. Daniel approached the counter. What do you recommend? Maya blinked, surprised. The honey lavender latte. It's my favorite, but hardly anyone orders it. Then that's what I'll have. She made the drink carefully, adding the perfect amount of foam, the precise drizzle of honey. When she handed it to him, their eyes met. $3.49, she said softly. Daniel paid, then took a sip. That's excellent. Why don't more people order it? I think they don't know it exists. It's not on the main menu board. Then change that. You're the manager now. Daniel smiled. Make decisions. Trust your instincts. Maya felt something unlock in her chest. Permission. Authority. Trust. I have ideas, she said quietly. About the morning service, about training, about how we treat people. Good. Write them down. We'll meet Wednesday to discuss implementation. Daniel took another sip. How are you feeling? Really? Maya considered the question. Scared. Grateful. Angry that it happened. Hopeful that it's over. All reasonable. Daniel leaned against the counter. Can I tell you something? When I started this company, I was you. Early shifts, poverty wages, wondering if I'd make rent. I remember what it feels like to be invisible. You saw me, Maya said, when no one else did. Because I knew what to look for. He set down his cup. Maya, I'm restructuring compensation across all 73 locations. No more part-time loopholes. Everyone gets benefits. Everyone gets fair pay. What happened to you can't happen again. That's going to cost millions. It'll cost more if we lose people like you. Daniel straightened. I built this company on values that got lost in the expansion. You reminded me what matters. The door chimed. The first customer of Maya's new era, a nurse still in scrubs, exhausted from a night shift. Good morning, Maya said warmly. What can I get you? As she worked, Daniel watched from his usual corner table. But this time he wasn't gathering evidence or building a case. He was just watching his business function the way it was supposed to, with integrity. At 7:15, Maya brought him a fresh coffee without being asked. On the house, she said. Manager's privilege. Thank you, Daniel accepted it. Question, that woman who asked about your special discount on day one, do you remember her? Maya's expression clouded. Yes. She came back Friday. I spoke with her personally, explained what happened. She wants to apologize to you. She doesn't need to. She does. And you deserve to hear it. Daniel pulled out a business card. Her name is Angela. She's a regular now. Said she'll only come when you're working because she trusts you. Maya took the card, her eyes welling up. People trust me? Always have. You were just surrounded by people who didn't deserve yours. The morning rush began in earnest. Maya moved through it with new confidence, training a new barista hired just yesterday, a young man named Chris who reminded her of herself a year ago, trying hard and hoping it would be enough. The most important thing, Maya told him, is honesty. With customers, with the register, with yourself. Everything else we can teach. Chris nodded seriously. Yes, ma'am. At 10:30, Maya's shift ended, but for the first time in 14 months, she didn't feel relieved to leave. She felt reluctant. This place was hers now. Daniel met her at the door. Big meeting Wednesday. Bring those ideas. I will. Maya paused. Mr. Reeves? Thank you. For seeing me. For believing me. Daniel. Just Daniel. He smiled. And you're welcome. But Maya? You saved yourself? I just made sure the right story got told. He left, and Maya stood in the cafe she now managed, watching the midday sun stream through the windows. 6 weeks ago, she'd been invisible, expendable, one bad day from homelessness. Today, she had keys, a salary, and a future. The coffee machines hummed. Customers laughed. Somewhere in the back, Chris was practicing his pour technique. Maya Ching took a deep breath and smiled. Honest work had finally earned its honest reward.